My brothers and sisters, I want you to pause for a moment and think of the hardest time in your life. That moment when your chest felt so heavy, when you thought, I can't go on anymore. There's no way forward. We've all been there. Every one of us knows the taste of struggle, the sting of heartbreak, the weight of worry. But here's what I want you to remember. Allah never leaves you in the dark without planting a light somewhere ahead. The Quran tells us, Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. That means even in your most broken state, Allah is saying to you, you are stronger than you think. I know what you can handle, and I know how I will bring you through it. Sometimes life feels like you're trapped. Like you're standing at a wall with no door, no exit, no hope. But Allah is the maker of exits. The opener of doors. The one who parts seas. When Prophet Musa stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army behind him, he must have felt the same wall. Yet, what did Allah do? He split the sea wide open. A path appeared where no path existed. Think of Yunus alone in the belly of the whale, in the depths of the ocean, in the middle of the night. Darkness upon darkness upon darkness. Yet, when he called out sincerely to Allah, the whale released him, the sea carried him to safety, and his life was restored. That's what happens when you turn your worry into prayer. So, don't let the whispers of despair fool you into thinking your story is over. Allah tells us again and again, indeed, with hardship comes peace. Not after hardship. Not someday in the future. With it. That means your relief is already written into your pain. Your solution is hidden inside your trial. But here's the key, you have to trust the process. You have to keep praying even when your tears wet the prayer mat. You have to stay patient even when the nights feel endless. You have to believe that Allah's timing is more perfect than your own. And when the breakthrough comes, because it will, you will look back and realize that pain was not wasted. The delay was not a rejection. The struggle was not a punishment. It was preparation. Preparation for you to rise higher, to become stronger, to feel more connected to your Creator. So today, if you're sitting in the middle of your storm, hear this message deep in your heart. Do not worry. Do not despair. Do not give up. Allah is already working out a way for you. Provision will come from places you never imagined. Healing will come in ways you never expected. Joy will return to your heart. Hold on. Keep praying. Keep believing. Because the same Lord who carried you through your past storms will carry you through this one too. We often move through life thinking that everyone else seems to have it all figured out while we are the ones stumbling, falling, and hurting. But the truth is, every single person you meet is carrying something heavy on their heart. No one is exempt from struggle. Some people face heartbreak that shatters them to pieces. Others wake up every day under the crushing pressure of financial stress, wondering how they will feed their family or pay their rent. Many silently fight loneliness, even when surrounded by others. And then there are those who live with invisible pain, anxiety, or regret that no one else even notices. This is the reality of human life. No matter who you are, you will face difficulties. What often makes those moments unbearable is the belief that we are alone in them. The mind begins to whisper, why me? Why am I the one who has to carry this? Why does everyone else look so happy while I'm breaking inside? It is in these moments that despair creeps in. We feel as though the darkness is endless and the weight will never lift. And yet, if you pause and reflect deeply, you will realize that this is part of the design of life. Struggles are not random. They are not punishments thrown at you without purpose. They are reminders of your humanity, reminders that you are not in control of everything, reminders that you need something greater than yourself. When we acknowledge our struggles, we also acknowledge our vulnerability. That vulnerability is not a weakness. It is actually the doorway to strength. Because when you admit to yourself, I cannot carry this on my own, that is when you open your heart to Allah. That is when you allow yourself to be carried by the one who never tires, who never turns away, who never abandons a servant. You see, people may disappoint you, and circumstances may betray you, but Allah is always there, closer to you than your own jugular vein. Think about it, the moments that broke you are also the moments that taught you. The heartbreak forced you to reevaluate what truly matters. The financial struggle made you realize the value of contentment and gratitude for even the simplest things. The loneliness taught you to find companionship with Allah, to turn your late-night tears into whispers of dua. These are not small lessons. These are treasures you can only gain by walking through hardship. Sometimes, the problem is not the struggle itself, but how we look at it. We tend to compare our lives with others. We scroll through social media and see smiling faces, vacations, happy families, and success stories. Then we look at our own lives and feel inadequate. What we fail to see is that behind those smiles are their own hidden struggles. No one posts their tears. No one applauds their anxieties. And so, we trick ourselves into believing we are the only ones suffering. But the truth is, struggle is universal. It is the thread that ties humanity together. By acknowledging your struggles openly and honestly, you free yourself from shame. There is nothing shameful about being tested. In fact, the ones most beloved to Allah were the most tested. The prophets endured trials that would make many of us collapse. Prophet Ayub lost his health, his wealth, and his family, yet he remained patient. Prophet Yusuf was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a well, sold into slavery, and imprisoned unjustly, yet he trusted in Allah's plan. Their stories remind us that struggle is not a sign of weakness or failure. It is a sign that you are alive, that you are being shaped, that your story is still unfolding under the watchful care of your Creator. The beauty of acknowledging human struggle is that it builds empathy. When you know what it feels like to be broken, you learn to treat others with compassion. You stop judging people so harshly because you understand that everyone is fighting a battle you cannot see. That coworker who seems distracted may be dealing with a sick parent. That neighbor who is short-tempered may be living with financial stress. That stranger who looks perfectly fine may be carrying unbearable grief. When you recognize that everyone has their valleys, your heart softens. You begin to see the world not through the lens of comparison, but through the lens of compassion. And let's not forget, acknowledging struggle does not mean glorifying it or romanticizing pain. It means being real with yourself and with Allah. It means admitting, yeah, Allah, I'm tired, I am weak, I don't see the way forward, but I know you see what I cannot see. I know you hold the keys to doors I don't even know exist. That honesty is the first step toward healing. Because you cannot heal from something you refuse to admit exists. You cannot ask Allah for relief from a burden you deny you're carrying. So, the next time you feel crushed by your struggles, remind yourself that you are not alone in them. Remind yourself that struggle is part of the human condition, written into the fabric of life. And remind yourself that acknowledging it does not make you less, it makes you human. It connects you to the countless others who are fighting their own battles, and, more importantly, it connects you to Allah, the one who knows every tear that falls before it even leaves your eye. In the end, struggles are not the end of your story. They are chapters, difficult ones, yes, but chapters nonetheless. And every chapter, no matter how dark, is leading you toward a greater ending. Acknowledging the pain is not the same as surrendering to it. It is the courage to say, this is hard, I am hurting, but I trust that Allah will carry me through. That trust transforms worry into hope, despair into resilience, and weakness into strength. And that is the power hidden within the simple act of acknowledging our human struggles. When you are in the middle of a hardship, it is easy to feel as though the weight on your shoulders is far heavier than what you can possibly handle. There are days when the heart cries out, this is too much for me, I cannot carry this anymore. And yet Allah, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, tells us very clearly in the Qur'an, Allah does not burden the soul beyond what it can bear. These words are not just a verse to be recited. They are a lifeline. They are promised directly from the one who created you, who knows your strengths better than you know them yourself. Think about what that means. It means that every test you are facing right now has been measured and weighed specifically for you. Nothing in your life is random. The pain you are enduring, the loss you are grieving, the obstacles that stand before you, they have all been allowed to touch your life only because Allah knows you have within you the capacity to bear them. You may not believe it, but He knows it. Just like a teacher gives the exam that matches the student's level, Allah places upon you a test that is in line with your ability. And when the paper feels impossibly hard, remember, it is not meant to break you. It is meant to reveal to you a strength you never knew you had. So many times, we underestimate ourselves. We see only our weaknesses, our flaws, our fears. But Allah sees the potential buried within us. He sees the strength He planted in our souls. And trials are the very situations that water that seed of strength, allowing it to grow into something beautiful. Just as gold must be purified through fire before it shines, the soul must pass through hardship before it discovers its own resilience. There is comfort in knowing that nothing that comes your way is beyond your ability. If you are living it, it means you can bear it. Even if you are crawling, even if you are crying, even if you feel as though you are just barely surviving, it means you are strong enough to face it. Many people look back on the hardest times of their lives and say, I don't know how I made it through. But the truth is, you did. And that is proof that Allah's promise was true all along. You were never carrying more than you could handle. At the same time, we need to understand that this promise does not mean life will be easy. Fearing something does not mean it will be painless. You may still feel the ache of loss, the sting of betrayal, the anxiety of uncertainty. But it means that you will not collapse under it. It means that there is enough strength within you to withstand the storm. And when your own strength runs thin, it means Allah will replenish it with His strength. The test may knock you down, but it will not destroy you, because your Creator Himself has guaranteed that it cannot. This verse also teaches us a very important lesson in perspective. Often, when we are in the middle of a test, we magnify it in our minds until it feels unbearable. But if Allah has allowed it into our lives, then by definition, it is bearable. The challenge is not whether the task is too heavy, it is whether we choose to carry it with despair or with faith. Despair says, I cannot do this, I will break. Faith says, this is hard, but Allah will help me carry it. The weight does not change. What changes is the heart that bears it. Consider the example of people who go through similar circumstances yet respond in very different ways. Two individuals may face financial hardship. One may collapse into hopelessness, while the other may rise with patience and trust, using the difficulty as a means to draw nearer to Allah. The test was the same, but the outcome was shaped by how they carried it. This is the essence of Allah's promise. The test is within your capacity, but the way you choose to respond determines whether it becomes a burden that crushes you or a challenge that elevates you. There is also an incredible mercy hidden in this divine promise. It tells us that Allah knows us intimately. He knows the precise measure of our hearts, our patience, our resilience. Sometimes we feel unseen by people, misunderstood even by those closest to us. But Allah knows you completely. He knows the silent struggles no one else notices. He knows the pain you cannot put into words. And He knows exactly how much you can take, down to the smallest detail. That knowledge should bring comfort, because it means that nothing you are going through has escaped His awareness. When you start to believe this promise deeply, it changes the way you see your struggles. Instead of asking, why me, why now, you begin to ask, what strength is Allah trying to show me through this? What lesson is hidden here for me to grow? This mindset does not erase the pain, but it transforms it. It gives meaning to the suffering. And when pain has meaning, it becomes easier to endure. So if you feel overwhelmed right now, remind yourself, this is not more than you can bear. The one who fashioned your soul, who knows every beat of your heart, has guaranteed that. Yes, you may stumble, yes, you may cry, yes, you may feel exhausted, but you will not be crushed. Because Allah has already equipped you with what you need to withstand this. And the very fact that you are facing it is proof of your hidden strength. Take comfort in that. Let it settle into your heart. And the next time despair whispers, you can't handle this, answer back with certainty, if I could not handle it, Allah would not have placed it in my path. He believes in me more than I believe in myself, and with His help I will rise. When you are standing in the middle of hardship, it feels endless. The mind tells you that this is all there will ever be: pain, fear, sadness, confusion. It is as if the tunnel stretches on forever with no light at the end. But Allah in His mercy reassures us in the Qur'an with one of the most repeated and comforting promises: indeed, with hardship comes ease. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Notice that the verse does not say ease will come after hardship, but that ease is with it. This is not just a statement, it is a profound truth about the nature of life and the mercy of Allah. What does it mean that ease is with hardship? It means that no matter how heavy your struggle feels, there is already relief woven into it. It means that the same hand that allowed you to be tested has already placed within the test the seeds of healing, the sparks of hope, the paths of solutions. The difficulty and the ease are born together, like twins that cannot be separated. You may not see the ease right away, but it is there, waiting to unfold when the time is right. Think of the story of Prophet Musa when he and his people stood at the edge of the Red Sea. Behind them was the army of Pharaoh, in front of them, a vast body of water. To the eye, it looked like certain destruction. There was no way forward, no way back. Yet at that very moment of greatest difficulty, Allah's command opened the sea. Ease appeared right inside the hardship. The way out was hidden within the trial itself. And this is how Allah works in our lives too. We see only walls, but He knows where the door is. When Allah says ease comes with hardship, He is also reminding us that trials are never permanent. Just as night is always followed by day, no storm lasts forever. Every wave that crashes eventually recedes. Your tears will not flow endlessly, your heart will not ache without relief. Even now, while you are hurting, ease is on its way. The promise is already written in your story. Sometimes the ease comes in the form of a solution, sometimes in the form of inner strength you didn't know you had, sometimes in the way your heart softens and turns back to Allah. But it always comes. This promise should change the way we view our hardships. Instead of seeing them as hopeless situations, we can begin to see them as opportunities to discover the ease Allah has hidden for us. For example, someone who loses a job may feel devastated, but perhaps that loss pushes them toward an opportunity that brings more fulfillment, more income, or more growth. Someone who faces rejection may feel humiliated, but perhaps that rejection is saving them from a path that would have harmed them. Someone who goes through heartbreak may feel shattered, but that heartbreak may be the very thing that teaches them patience, resilience, and the ability to love more sincerely in the future. The hardship and the ease are always connected. There is also wisdom in the repetition of this verse. Allah says it twice in succession. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. The repetition is not by accident. It is as if Allah is insisting that we understand this truth, that we let it sink deeply into our hearts. He knows how quick we are to forget when the pain feels sharp. He knows how easily we give in to despair. So He repeats it to us, almost like a loving parent reassuring a frightened child. It will be okay. It will be okay. The repetition itself is a form of mercy. And notice something else. In Arabic, the word for hardship in this verse is singular, while the word for ease is indefinite, suggesting plurality. Scholars explain that this means for every single hardship, there are multiple forms of ease. Your difficulty is one, but your relief comes in many shapes. This is why sometimes, in the middle of your darkest night, you find unexpected kindness from a stranger, or sudden strength in your own heart, or prayer answered in a way you did not anticipate. The hardship may feel heavy, but the mercy of Allah surrounds it from every direction. Reflect also on your own life. Think back to times when you thought you would not make it. Times when you felt certain you were finished. And yet, here you are today, reading these words. Somehow the ease arrived. Somehow the pain lessened. Somehow the road continued. This is living proof that Allah's promise is true. You have already survived so much, and that survival itself was ease given to you alongside the hardship. Understanding this should encourage us to be patient in times of trial. Patience does not mean you do not feel pain. It does not mean you do not cry or feel afraid. Patience means you choose not to lose hope in Allah, even while you hurt. It means you remind yourself that the promise of ease is already tied to your difficulty. It means you say to yourself, this will not last forever. Allah has already written the relief, even if I cannot see it yet. That mindset can transform despair into hope, fear into trust, and weakness into strength. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember that the Qur'an is speaking directly to you. Allah Himself is telling you hardship does not come alone. It never walks into your life without bringing ease with it. Sometimes the ease comes quickly, sometimes slowly, but it always arrives. And when you hold on to that promise, your heart finds peace even before the relief appears, because you know it is guaranteed. If you are hurting today, tell yourself, ease is already on its way. It may be hidden inside this hardship, waiting to reveal itself, but it is there. Trust in that, hold on to it, and let the words of Allah be the anchor of your soul. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. When life pushes us into corners and we feel trapped, the heart naturally begins to ask, why is this happening to me? Why now? Why in this way? It feels like the plan you carefully built is crumbling before your eyes. Everything you thought was secure suddenly slips away. At times like these, it becomes almost impossible to see beyond the present moment of pain. And yet, this is where one of the deepest truths of faith comes into play. What looks like a dead end to us is often just the beginning of something greater in Allah's plan. Trusting the divine plan means believing that Allah's knowledge is infinite, while ours is limited. He sees what we cannot see, He knows what we do not know, and He understands every thread of the story that we only glimpse in fragments. To us, losing a job might feel like disaster, but perhaps it is protection from a toxic environment or the push needed to pursue a path we never considered. To us, a relationship ending may feel like unbearable heartbreak, but perhaps Allah is redirecting us toward a future that will nourish us in ways we cannot yet imagine. To us, delays feel like rejection, but in reality, they may be preparation for something far better than what we were rushing toward. There is a parable that helps capture this idea. Imagine a child who insists on holding a fragile glass toy. A parent gently takes it away, even as the child screams and cries, unable to understand why something so precious was removed. From the child's limited view, it feels cruel. But the parent sees the danger, the risk of harm, and acts out of love. In the same way, when Allah takes something from us, we may not understand. All we see is the loss, the pain, the disappointment. But He sees the harm we cannot. He sees the bigger picture, the one we will only recognize later when the pieces fall into place. The stories of the prophets are filled with examples of this principle. Consider the life of Prophet Yusuf. Betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a well, sold into slavery, and imprisoned unjustly. Each of these events must have felt like a dead end. But in the divine plan, every step was necessary to position him for leadership in Egypt, where he would ultimately save a nation from famine. What looked like tragedy was in fact preparation for greatness. The well was not the end of his story, it was the beginning of his rise. We'll look at Prophet Musa and his people when they were trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army. To the human eye, there was no escape. But it was in that very moment of hopelessness that Allah showed His power by parting the sea. The dead end became a pathway. And this is the way of Allah. Where we see walls, He creates doors. Where we see endings, He writes new beginnings. Trusting the divine plan requires letting go of the illusion of control. We like to believe that if we plan carefully enough, if we work hard enough, we can shape life exactly as we want it. And yet, no matter how much we plan, there will always be surprises, losses, delays, and turns we never expected. This does not mean we should not plan or strive, it means we should plan while knowing that Allah's plan will always prevail, and that His plan is better than anything we could design for ourselves. When something painful happens, the natural instinct is to resist it. We fight reality, replaying the event in our minds, asking over and over, what if, why me, if only things had gone differently. This resistance makes the pain heavier. But when we remind ourselves that Allah's plan is always for our good, even when it is hidden, we begin to find peace in the middle of the storm. We stop asking why and start asking, what lesson is here for me? What growth is Allah guiding me toward? That shift does not erase the pain, but it gives it meaning, and meaning makes even the heaviest burdens easier to carry. The truth is, every apparent loss is also an opening. Every delay is also protection. Every disappointment is also redirection. Allah is never absent from your story. He is writing it with precision and mercy, even when you cannot understand the chapters you are living. And often, when you look back years later, you realize that the very thing you once begged Allah to prevent was the thing that led you to where you were meant to be all along. So, trusting the divine plan is not blind submission, it is deep awareness. It is knowing that the one who created you loves you more than you love yourself. It is remembering that His wisdom is perfect, His timing flawless, His care constant. It is choosing to surrender your worry into His hands with the conviction that He will never abandon you. And when you adopt this mindset, you begin to live with more peace. You stop fearing the unknown, because you know that even the unknown is known to Allah. You stop clinging desperately to things that are taken from you, because you trust that if they were meant for you, they would never leave. You stop drowning in regret, because you believe that whatever happened could not have been otherwise, and it happened by the permission of the one who knows best. So the next time you feel as though you have reached a dead end, remind yourself, in Allah's plan, there are no dead ends. There are only pathways you cannot yet see. And one day, when the door opens, when the sea parts, when the wisdom becomes clear, you will look back with gratitude and say, Alhamdulillah, my Lord was guiding me all along. There is a quiet power in turning to Allah when the heart is restless and the mind is heavy with worry. Patience and prayer are not passive responses to life's difficulties. They are active choices that transform the way we endure hardship. Too often, when trials strike, our first instinct is to panic, to complain, to seek solutions only in the material world. But Allah has given us two tools that are greater than any worldly resource: patience, which steadies the soul, and prayer, which connects the soul directly to its Creator. Together, they are a shield against despair and a pathway toward relief. Patience is not just about waiting. Waiting by itself can be painful and empty. Patience in the Islamic sense means enduring with dignity, holding firm to faith, and resisting the temptation to give up or turn away from Allah in the midst of difficulty. It is choosing to say, this is hard, but I trust that my Lord knows what He is doing. It is keeping your heart from despair, your tongue from complaint, and your limbs from sin, even when the weight of your trial feels unbearable. This kind of patience is not easy, but it is deeply rewarding. The Prophet taught us that patience is a light. It illuminates the path when everything around us feels dark, giving us the strength to take the next step even when we cannot see the whole road ahead. At the same time, patience does not mean suppressing your emotions or pretending you are not hurting. The Quran itself tells us about Prophet Yaqub, who lost his beloved son Yusuf and cried until his eyes turned white from grief. Yet he said, I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah. That is patience, allowing your heart to feel the pain, but directing your cries only to the one who can heal you. It is not weakness to shed tears, it is weakness to abandon hope in Allah. True patience is acknowledging your pain, but refusing to let it distance you from your Creator. And then there is prayer. Salat is not just a ritual performed out of obligation. It is a lifeline or refuge and a source of peace for the believer. Allah says in the Quran, seek help through patience and prayer. Indeed, it is difficult except for the humbly submissive. Notice that prayer is not mentioned as something we do only when life is easy. It is mentioned specifically as a tool to seek help when life is hard. Each prostration is a moment of surrender, where you place your forehead, the highest part of your body, on the ground in humility before the one who holds your destiny. In that act, you are not just bowing your body, you are bowing your worry, your fear, your exhaustion, and laying them at the feet of the one who can carry them for you. There is a tranquility that comes from prayer which cannot be explained in words. It is the tranquility of knowing that even if the world has turned its back on you, your Lord is still listening. Even if no one understands your pain, Allah understands it better than you do yourself. Even if you have no idea how to solve your problems, you are speaking to the one who has control over all solutions. The Prophet, whenever faced with difficulty, would rush to prayer. He did not run to people first, he did not drown in despair, he turned to Allah. And in doing so, he showed us the way. Patience and prayer also go hand in hand. Patience prepares the heart to accept Allah's decree, while prayer strengthens the heart to endure it. When you are patient without prayer, you risk becoming hardened, carrying the burden alone. When you pray without patience, you may give up too quickly when the answer does not come in the way or timing you expected. But when you combine both, you achieve a balance. Patience keeps you grounded and prayer keeps you connected. Together, they protect you from despair. Think about the moments in your life when you have been broken, when you felt you could not take another step. And then think about the nights you stood in prayer, pouring your heart out to Allah, and somehow walked away lighter. Did the problem always vanish immediately? Not necessarily. But something within you changed. Prayer gave you strength to endure, patience gave you peace to wait, and together they carried you forward until the storm began to clear. That is the secret of these two tools. They may not always remove the hardship instantly, but they transform you in the hardship, allowing you to emerge stronger and more faithful. It is also important to remember that patience is not only for the big tragedies in life. It is for the daily irritations, the moments of anger, the setbacks at work, the disagreements at home. Every time you choose not to lash out, not to complain excessively, not to fall into despair, you are practicing patience. And every time you turn to prayer, not just the five obligatory salah, but also do a whispered from the heart, you are strengthening your connection to Allah. These small acts build resilience, so that when the big trials come, you are already trained in turning to Allah with calmness and trust. Ultimately, patience and prayer are gifts. They are not punishments, not restrictions, but pathways to ease. Allah does not ask you to bear hardship alone. He gives you the light of patience to guide your heart and the gift of prayer to draw you near to Him. And through them, He promises relief. Perhaps not in the way you expect, perhaps not in the timing you desire, but always in the form that is best for you. So when life feels heavy, resist the urge to give in to despair. Be patient not by suppressing your pain, but by holding on to hope in Allah. Pray not only with words, but with your whole being, surrendering your worries to the one who can turn them into peace. And trust that through patience and prayer, you are never truly carrying your burdens alone. Allah is with those who are patient, and Allah is near to those who pray. With Him, you will find strength, relief, and the courage to keep moving forward. Stories are powerful because they connect us to truths that words alone cannot convey. When we are facing hardship, we often feel as though no one else could possibly understand the depth of our struggle. Yet when we look to the lives of the prophets, we find that they too faced overwhelming trials, trials that would have broken most people. Their stories are not preserved in the Quran and Sunnah simply for historical interest. They are preserved to give us hope, to remind us that no matter how dark life feels, Allah can and will provide a way out. Take the story of Prophet Yunus. He fled from his people, overwhelmed by their rejection, and ended up being swallowed by a whale in the depths of the ocean. Imagine the scene, the darkness of the belly of the whale, the darkness of the sea, and the darkness of the night above. Darkness upon darkness upon darkness. To the human mind, this was the end. There was no conceivable escape. And yet, in that moment, Yunus turned back to Allah with the famous dua, "There is no God but you, glory be to you, indeed I was of the wrongdoers." That sincere prayer, born from humility and desperation, became the key to his freedom. Allah commanded the whale to release him, and he was cast safely onto the shore. This story teaches us that no situation is too hopeless for Allah. Even when you feel surrounded on all sides, trapped with no exit, Allah can create a way out in the blink of an eye. Then there is Prophet Musa, a figure whose life was filled with challenges from the very beginning. As an infant, his mother placed him in a basket in the river to save him from Pharaoh's decree. What mother could bear such a task, to let her child float away in the water? And yet Allah returned Musa to her arms, safe and sound, showing that surrendering to Allah's plan never results in loss. Later in life, Musa led the Israelites out of Egypt, only to find themselves trapped between Pharaoh's army and the Red Sea. To the people, it looked like certain death. They cried out in fear, but Musa with unshakable trust said, "Indeed my Lord is with me, he will guide me." And Allah did. The sea split open, creating a path of safety. What was once a barrier became a bridge. This story is a timeless reminder that when you feel cornered, when every path seems blocked, Allah can open a way where you least expect it. Consider also Prophet Ayub, who was tested with the loss of wealth, health, and family. He endured years of illness and isolation, to the point where even his closest loved ones could not recognize him. Yet throughout his suffering, he never lost faith. He continued to remember Allah, continued to be patient, until finally Allah restored to him his health, his family, and blessings greater than what he had before. His story shows us that trials are not punishments but opportunities for immense reward. They refine us, they elevate us, and when endured with patience, they lead to restoration and blessings far beyond what we lost. And what of the beloved Prophet Muhammad himself? He faced rejection from his own people, insults, mockery, exile, and even physical attacks. He lost loved ones, including his beloved wife Khadijah and his uncle Abu Talib, in the same year known as the Year of Sorrow. Yet in the midst of grief, Allah gifted him the miraculous journey of Isra and Mi'raj, elevating him to the heavens and granting him the gift of Salah, a direct connection with the divine. His life is a testament to resilience, to the truth that even the most beloved to Allah are not spared from trials, but that their trials are matched with profound gifts and closeness to Him. These stories are not just tales of the past. They are mirrors for our own lives. When you feel swallowed by the darkness of your problems, remember Yunus in the belly of the whale. When you feel trapped by impossible circumstances, remember Musa at the Red Sea. When you are weighed down by years of hardship, remember Ayub on his bed of illness. And when you feel rejected, lonely, or heartbroken, remember Muhammad finding light in the darkest of times. Their stories are meant to remind you that despair is never the end. What all these examples teach us is that Allah's help often comes when we least expect it. Relief does not always arrive in the way we imagine, but it always arrives. The prophets show us that the pattern of life is this trial, patience, prayer, and then relief. Sometimes the relief is immediate, like the sea parting from Musa. Sometimes it takes years, like the restoration of Ayub. But in every case, the outcome is certain. Allah never abandons His servants. So when you feel crushed under the weight of your struggles, do not let despair convince you that you are alone. You are walking a path that the greatest men of history have walked before you. And just as Allah lifted them from their trials, He will lift you from yours. Their stories live on to remind you of this truth. No matter how deep the problem, no matter how impossible the situation, Allah is greater. He is the one who saves from the belly of the whale, who splits seas, who restores the broken, who turns sorrow into joy. And if He did it for them, He can and will do it for you. Trials often feel like punishments. When something painful happens, the heart quickly whispers, "What did I do wrong? Why is Allah angry with me?" That voice of doubt can be crushing, making the burden feel even heavier than it already is. But the reality is very different. In Islam, difficulties are not always signs of rejection or divine anger. In fact, they are often signs of Allah's deep concern for His servant, opportunities to grow closer to Him, and pathways to purification. The way we choose to look at our trials determines whether they break us or elevate us. Imagine two people facing the same difficulty, both lose their jobs. One person thinks Allah has abandoned me, I am worthless, my life is ruined. That despair drags them into bitterness and hopelessness. The other person, though equally heartbroken, reminds themselves, perhaps this is Allah redirecting me to something better. Perhaps He is protecting me from harm I cannot see. That mindset allows them to bear the trial with patience and hope. The external situation is the same, but the internal perspective changes everything. The Quran itself teaches us that hardships are not punishments by default. Allah says, "We will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits. But give good tidings to the patient." Notice how the verse does not say these trials are punishments. Instead, they are described as tests. A test is designed to bring out your strengths, to measure your resilience, and to prepare you for something greater. In the same way that students sit for exams not because the teacher hates them, but because the teacher wants them to grow, our tests in life are chances to prove our faith and earn higher reward. Consider also the Hadith where the Prophet said, "The people who are tested the most are the prophets, then those closest to them, then those closest to them." If trials were punishments, would the prophets, those most beloved to Allah, be tested so severely? Of course not. Their tests were a sign of their status, a means of elevation, and a path to show the world what steadfastness looks like. Prophet Ayyub's illness was not a punishment, it was a testimony to his patience. Prophet Yusuf's years in prison were not punishments, they were preparation for leadership. Prophet Muhammad's losses and hardships were not punishments, they were training for the immense mission he carried. When you shift your perspective from punishment to opportunity, the heart becomes lighter. You begin to see trials as a way to draw nearer to Allah. Sins you may have forgotten are erased through the pain you endure with patience. The Prophet said, "No fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim even if it were the prick he receives from a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins for that." That means every tear, every sleepless night, every ache in your heart is not wasted. It is washing you clean, preparing you to stand before Allah purified. Beyond purification, trials are also opportunities for transformation. They strip away illusions of control, forcing us to recognize our dependence on Allah. They soften hearts that may have become hardened by comfort. They remind us of the fleeting nature of this world and redirect our focus to the eternal. Sometimes, without hardship, we would drift too far from our Creator, too distracted by ease to remember Him. Trials pull us back, reminding us where true peace lies. It is also worth remembering that growth often comes through discomfort. A seed must split open in the dark soil before it can sprout into the light. Muscles must tear during exercise before they grow stronger. Likewise, the soul must pass through hardship to reach its potential. What feels like breaking is often becoming. What feels like the end is often the start of something new. This perspective shift does not mean you stop feeling pain. It does not mean you smile through grief or pretend your heart is not itching. It means that even as you cry, even as you struggle, you remind yourself that there is purpose behind the pain. You tell yourself, "This is not Allah abandoning me, this is Allah shaping me." That awareness transforms bitterness into patience and despair into trust. When you view trials as opportunities, you begin to search for the hidden gifts within them. Perhaps your illness taught you gratitude for the days of health you once took for granted. Perhaps your financial difficulty taught you empathy for the poor. Perhaps your heartbreak brought you closer to Allah through dua and prayer. These are not small lessons, they are treasures you could not have gained in times of ease. So, when the next hardship arrives, resist the urge to see it as punishment. Pause, breathe, and remind yourself, this is a test. This is a chance. This is an opportunity for me to grow, to be purified, and to draw closer to the one who loves me most. In that mindset, the trial does not become easier, but your heart becomes stronger. You carry the same weight, but now you carry it with faith instead of despair. And when relief finally comes, as it always does, you will look back with gratitude. You will see how the pain shaped you, how the difficulty elevated you, and how the very thing you once begged Allah to remove became the source of your greatest strength. That is the hidden mercy of trials. They are not walls blocking your path, but doors leading you closer to your Creator. There is a deep comfort in knowing that your sustenance, your rizq, and your relief are not tied to people, not tied to jobs, not tied to circumstances, but tied only to Allah. When you internalize this truth, a heavy burden lifts from your shoulders. Suddenly, you no longer feel enslaved to the opinions of others, you no longer believe that your survival depends entirely on your own efforts, and you no longer collapse into despair when one door closes. Because you understand that Allah is the provider, the sustainer, the one who gives from places you never imagined. How many times in your life have you faced situations that felt impossible, yet somehow you made it through? How many bills did you not know how to pay, yet payment came? How many times did you wonder how you would survive heartbreak, yet you healed? How many times did you feel trapped, only to find a way out when you least expected it. All of these are signs that provision is not limited to what you can see with your eyes. It flows from Allah, who controls the entire universe. If He can send down rain from the sky and cause crops to grow from the soil, can He not also provide solutions for your personal struggles? Allah tells us in the Qur'an, and whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out and provide for him from where he does not expect, and whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. This verse alone is enough to calm the restless heart. It promises two things: not only will Allah make a way out of difficulties, but He will also provide sustenance from unimaginable sources. And He does not say He might do it, He promises that He will. The beauty of Allah's provision is that it is not limited to money or material things. Rizq comes in many forms: a kind word that lifts your spirits when you are down, a friend who shows up just when you need support, an idea that sparks in your mind at the perfect time, an opportunity that falls into your lap seemingly out of nowhere. All of these are provisions. Sometimes Allah provides you with peace in your heart, which is far more valuable than wealth in your hand. Sometimes He provides you with patience, resilience, or clarity of mind. These are provisions too, and they are often the ones we overlook. Think of the story of Maryam, the mother of Isaac. When she was in labor, alone and in pain under a palm tree, she cried out in despair, wishing for death. In that moment, Allah caused fresh dates to fall from the tree and a stream of water to flow nearby. Provision came in the middle of her despair, from a place she could not have arranged herself. Or consider the story of Hajar, who ran desperately between the hills of Safa and Marwa in search of water for her infant son Ismail. In her desperation, she found nothing, but Allah caused the well of Zamzam to spring forth beneath her child's feet. To this day, millions drink from that blessed water. What greater reminder could there be that Allah provides in ways beyond imagination? Sometimes provision is delayed not because Allah has forgotten you, but because He is preparing you. A delay is not a denial. It may be that what you are asking for right now is not yet good for you, and so Allah holds it back until the right time. Just as a parent withholds certain things from a child until they are ready, Allah withholds only out of wisdom and love. And when the provision finally arrives, you often realize it could not have come a moment sooner, or that it was perfect in its timing. This truth also frees you from fear of loss. If your rizq is written for you, no one can take it away. If a job slips through your hands, it was never meant to be yours. If someone walks out of your life, they were never written into your provision. And if something reaches you, it could not have missed you. This is why believers are told to trust in Allah. Your role is to strive, to make effort, to tie your camel. But your heart must rest in the certainty that the outcome is in Allah's hands. That certainty brings peace, because you stop tying your worth to outcomes you cannot control. There is also great mercy in knowing that provision is not dependent on your perfection. Allah provides for the birds who leave their nests hungry each morning and return full each evening. He provides for the fish in the depths of the ocean, for the animals in the forest, for every creature across the earth. And He will provide for you too. Not because you are flawless, but because He is our Razak, the provider. His giving is not dependent on your deserving. It flows from His mercy, which is vast and unending. When you truly believe this, your relationship with life changes. You work hard, yes, but you do not panic if your efforts do not produce immediate results. You plan, yes, but you do not despair when your plans collapse. You desire, yes, but you trust that if what you want does not reach you, it is only because something better is written. This mindset fills the heart with calmness. It makes you resilient in the face of hardship, because you know that relief and sustenance are already written for you, and they will find you in the way Allah chooses. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by a problem that seems unsolvable, remind yourself, Allah has already written a way out. The solution may not be visible yet, but it exists. The relief may not have arrived yet, but it is on its way. Provision may not come from the place you are looking, but it will come from where you least expect. And when it does, you will look back and realize that Allah was never absent from your story. He was providing all along, sometimes in ways you could see, sometimes in ways you could not. Do not worry. Do not despair. Trust that your sustainer has already written your relief. Just as He provides for the smallest creatures of the earth, He will provide for you. And when the way out appears, you will know in your heart that it was never your effort alone that carried you, it was always Him. My beloved friends, life will never be free from storms. Each of us will face moments when we feel cornered, moments when the weight of the world seems too heavy to bear, moments when despair whispers that there is no way forward. But in those very moments, we must remember the unshakable truth. Allah is with us. He is the one who parts seas, who brings water from dry earth, who heals the broken, who opens doors we cannot even see. Do not let worry consume you. Worry shrinks your vision to the size of your problems, but faith lifts your vision to the size of your Lord. Whatever you are carrying right now, whether it is fear, loss, heartbreak, or uncertainty, know that it is not greater than Allah's mercy. Your trial is temporary, but His care for you is eternal. So walk forward with patience, with trust, and with hope. See your hardships not as punishments, but as opportunities for growth. Anchor yourself in prayer. Remind yourself of the stories of those before you who endured and emerged stronger. And above all, rest in the certainty that provision, relief, and a way out are already written for you. One day, perhaps sooner than you think, you will look back on this chapter of your life and realize it was not the end of your story, it was the beginning of a better one. And in that moment, your heart will whisper, Alhamdulillah, my Lord never abandoned me, He was guiding me all along. That is the promise, do not worry. Allah will always provide a way out of your deepest problems.